three aliens are forced to flee their war-torn home planet and end up crash landing on Earth. Once there, they take on the disguise of humans and even go to high school, all in an attempt to blend in. But they are in constant danger due to threats coming from many places. Thankfully, they are trained in ways to defend themselves whenever they find themselves in trouble. So, was I talking about the new Netflix show 3Below or Symbionic Titan?
The world may never know.
But, all jokes aside, welcome to my quick review of 3Below, the follow-up series to Trollhunters, and the second entry in the Tales of Arcadia trilogy. I say quick because I have a lot of videos to prepare for in the coming week. I'm Hailey from Cartooniverse, and let's get to the review. Just to reassure everyone watching, I have watched all 3 seasons of Trollhunters, so hopefully I don't get any information wrong. But first, it should also be mentioned that for the most part, you do not have to have seen Trollhunters to understand 3Below, for reasons I will explain later. Unlike Trollhunters, 3Below begins on the planet Acaridium 5, where we follow the lives of Aja and Krel, 2 royals on their coronation day. But things quickly devolve into chaos as the coup leaves them scrambling for their lives. Along with their bodyguard Vex and their pet, they find themselves on Earth, and the story begins. As I mentioned before, the main focus of the show is on a group of aliens, and I'm happy to report that they're actually done quite well. The Acaridian home planet is truly a sight to behold, and it definitely gave me Tron vibes. As for the aliens themselves, I love how there was a lot of effort put into making sure they didn't quite look or act like humans. For fantasy viewers, a cool trait of these aliens may seem familiar. But of course, the coolest looking aliens are the side characters, or the antagonists. Yet even still, the show looks wonderful, and like Trollhunters actually works in CG, most likely due to the very large budget. And well, speaking of Trollhunters, I felt like this was largely the same show, just the aliens instead of trolls, meaning that a lot of the dialogue, high school cliches, and action are the same. For the action, that is very much a good thing, since the fight scenes were some of my favorite parts of the show, and they utilized some very interesting techniques that made these scenes feel unique and fresh. However, for the other parts, it's more of a downside. Trollhunters relied on a lot of common tropes you see in high school movies and shows. This was a bit more prevalent in Trollhunters, but it still wasn't my cup of tea here. You have the whole popular girl and her gang thing, as well as romance. And guess which of the 2 siblings gets paired off with someone almost immediately? Why, Steve? Why? To be fair, clips already revealed that, so it's not much of a surprise, but that's a good portion of what Aja's story is about this season, and I was a bit disappointed to see that. Her brother, on the other hand, mostly has to deal with being a math genius. But even disregarding their time at school, they had a pretty good sibling dynamic. It was very nice to see how their feelings about Earth evolve over the season, yet they always stayed close to one another. As for their guardian Vex, he had a pretty interesting story when it didn't have to do with Earth stuff. Him being an elderly person was funny for a second, but it ultimately ends up being a burden that means he'll do anything to not put his disguise on. One thing I should note is that the show does not shy away from the whole topic of illegal aliens, as that is essentially what Aja and Krel are. The show teaches that this does not make them in any way inferior, and I think that it pulls off this lesson quite well, but I felt that explaining why their disguises were the most invisible types of humans, since they are a girl, Latino boy, and an old man, was a bit overkill. Perhaps besides that, this show does not do anything too unique. In fact, we could basically do a checklist of the common types of things you see in shows about aliens, and almost everything would be checked off. Genocide? Check. Takeover of home planet by an evil dictator? Check. Evil military on Earth? Check. Bounty hunters? Check. I mean, I guess there's only so much you can do with a show about aliens going to Earth, but doing all these things in 13 episodes should hopefully mean that more original ideas will be appearing soon. One thing I'm sure you're all interested about is exactly how the 3Below story intertwines with Trollhunters. Well, I can't say that Steven and Eli are pretty prominent characters in the show, which I'm still not the biggest fans of, but it's definitely an improvement from the beginning of Trollhunters. And this makes sense, because from what I saw, it looked like the show starts around season 3 of Trollhunters, and ends when the 3rd season ends as well. So basically, we aren't really getting any extension to the currently existing timeline, which is a bit of a bummer, but it works out logically. But at the same time, it means that we do get glimpses at events that occurred in Trollhunters, as well as some interactions between Jim, Claire, and Toby with the aliens. And those were definitely some of the highlights of the season. However, since I'm such a stickler with continuity, I did go back and check to see if the scenes we saw of Aja and Krel in the 3rd season of Trollhunters matched up with the ones in 3Below. And while they do for the most part, some of the reasoning why things happened is changed, meaning that they likely hadn't thought all about Aja and Krel too much while still writing Trollhunters. And I don't blame them. Making sure everything checks out perfectly between 2 series is no easy feat, especially when the constraints were already set by the first series. but thankfully it's not too distracting unless you are a really big fan of the show and notice every small detail. 3Below is a definite must-watch for those that enjoy Trollhunters. I would also recommend it to anyone that wants to watch an animated series with a whole lot of well-designed alien species. But for anyone else, I will say that it's a pretty average show that doesn't do anything super revolutionary compared to other shows we have gotten in recent years. It can be funny and a bit deep at times, and has great visuals, but other than that, I wouldn't say it did all that much for me. But if you like that kind of show, perhaps you'll find it enjoyable. For those that do see it, please let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching this review video. I have a bunch of other reviews you can check out for recently released shows, such as She-Ra and Watership Down. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. If you'd like to support us, feel free to join our Amino and become a member of our fan club, or become a patron through our Patreon. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about next year, so I hope you can all join us then. Have an animated day.